To recycle, that
Recycling.
Recycling.
Since you were little, you've heard the 3 R's a million times: reduce, reuse, recycle. In our lifetimes, many of us have become accustomed to throwing a plastic water bottle or a cardboard box into the bin. But what happens after we dispose of it? Why do we hear more about recycling than the rest of the 3 R's? Today, we're going to take a deep dive into some of these questions with a focus on plastic. A plastic water bottle's life begins in the form of fossil fuels. Crude oils are refined and converted into plastic pellets, which can then be made into a variety of products such as plastic bags, utensils, and water bottles, making it ready for consumption. Once products are put into a recycling bin and make their way to a recycling facility, it can be sorted out, melted down, and turned into plastic pellets, ready for purchase. Unfortunately, it's not always this easy. Although the recycling industry is worth over $30 billion, there simply isn't a market for recycling some items, especially when it comes to plastics. In reality, less than 10% of all plastics that have been produced have been recycled.
On the bottom of the products we consume, we're used to seeing this triangle with a little number inside, also known as the chasing arrows. But what do they mean? Where do they come from? The American Plastics Council created the chasing arrows, which indicates the type of plastic resin that the product is made out of. Many people see the arrows and assume that the item is recyclable and it gets tossed into the recycling bin, but this is a very distorted image of the truth. In reality, only 1s and 2s will likely get recycled, leaving the rest of the product to go to landfills.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Or majestic force. But I didn't give up. Got a little help along the way. And now I'm always what I wanted to be. Recyclable bench. Remember, always do your own part to help recycle around the world.
Now made with 100% recycled plastic.
So today, Philip Ramsey, the Executive Director of the Recycling in America Council, will be meeting with us, and he will be discussing how recycling became a movement for the consumer. Thank you for meeting with us today, Mr. Ramsey.
Of course, it's important to look back to the 60s, 70s when pollution started overwhelming many consumers. Out of fear of losing the plastics industry and the profits that came with plastic production, corporations began the push for recycling.
Mr. Ramsey then showed us this ad from the early 1970s.
And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it.
Yeah, so the Keep America Beautiful ad was funded by the beverage industry, and it framed pollution as a consumer's issue rather than a corporate issue. Okay. By convincing the public of the importance of recycling, the plastic manufacturers were able to find a way to make the public tolerant to the continued production of plastic.
While traditionally, recycling has been portrayed as a task for only the consumer to deal with and manage properly, this is not actually the reality. While it is still very important for the general population to practice proper recycling habits, the burden does not fall completely on them. Major corporations also could play a much bigger role in reducing the use of plastics. The reason that people are using so much plastic is that the corporations use single-use plastics to package their goods. While this is the easiest way for them to package products, it is far from the most environmentally friendly, as many of the products that are sold are wrapped in a single-use plastic that has to be thrown in the trash. Money is also a huge contributor because many corporations use plastic from categories 3 through 7, as they are much cheaper. However, they are much worse for the environment, as many of them cannot be recycled in most areas. These companies also encourage people to recycle, which means they are able to sell more plastic and keep the plastics industry in business. The other issue is that many of these large corporations have made empty promises that they would reduce their plastic use by a certain year, or they would make their company more sustainable by a particular year. This is a major problem because the reason why there is so much plastic polluting our world is because of these major companies' failure to make their products sustainable, leading to people having to throw away more plastic and other single-use products, leading to more pollution.
For my avid recyclers, I know this might seem a little devastating, as if there's nothing you can really do and that corporations are always going to keep producing plastic. But if we push and we fight against these corporations, we fight against preemptive laws that have prevented ordinances from being put in place to ban single-use plastics. And also, if we reduce or reuse the other 3 R's, we might be able to fight against this. If we hold corporations responsible for the pollution that they've created, which they are, instead of putting the blame on us, we might be able to fight this.